Hey, what's up, everyone? I was just kind of messing around with some coins I have, and I was kind of doing a little experiment. I like mercury dimes. I've made videos about how it's my preferred way to save silver, but I don't know if I'd call myself like a pure stacker because I don't know. I think I'm more of a coin collector than I am a stacker, to be honest with you. I appreciate both ends of the hobby slash investment sphere. That's the right word for it. But what I do have is a roll of 1916 mercury dimes. Now, if you have 1916 mercury dimes that are in mint state condition, they can be pretty valuable. They can go hundreds of dollars a piece. If they have full bands and they're high mint grade. I mean, they can hit four figures pretty easily. The ones I have are not those types of dimes. Some of them I just basically picked up in 90% silver lots for a couple of bucks a piece. Some of them I actually probably picked up for less than $2 a piece. Some of them I may have paid maybe like $3 or so for. So not expensive. And I'm just going to throw some in my hand just so you can kind of take a look at the type of quality I am talking about. So as you can tell from my hand, I'm just going to kind of spread these out randomly so you can see them. These are some pretty worn 1916 mercury dimes, as you can tell. Okay, pretty worn. I would say that they run from maybe fair condition to, I would say there's probably some that are in good condition, maybe good 6, but that's kind of basically. Yeah, let me spread these over here. But I mean, that's basically what you're getting here. It's good. It's probably fair 2 to good 6. So why am I showing these to you? Well, because I have something interesting that I saw, and like I said, it's not earth-shattering, earth-breaking news that's going to change your life and the way you view the world, but I wanted to share it with you anyway. But before I do, I just want to share a couple of ground rules here. One is that typically when you see a tube like this, it holds 50 dimes. And if you put 50 brand new uncirculated dimes, they will fit very, very nicely in this tube. Now, one roll equals 50 dimes. One silver dime weighs 2.5 grams. So, again, I have a wonderful public school education, which allows me to multiply 50 times 2.5 and come up with 125 grams. So this full roll of, let's say, nicely uncirculated or almost uncirculated dimes with little to no silver loss would give you 125 grams. Nice. Well, now, here's the thing. These are worn, right? So how many dimes was I able to fit in here? So I'll kind of give you a little bit of a hint. I was able to fit in, excuse me, I'm just counting something here. I was able to fit 63 dimes in this tube because, as you saw, they're very worn. So let's flip this over. I was able to fit 63 dimes in this one tube. I call it a roll, but one tube. Those 63 worn dimes, that's the WD, actually weighed 145 grams. And then I said, okay, let me pull 13 out. So I pulled out 13 dimes and I weighed them. And it came down to 114.7 grams. So if you buy, let's say, 50 uncirculated or nearly uncirculated mercury dimes, well, you are probably looking at, 125 grams. If you are looking at buying 50 really worn mercury dimes, you're not getting 125 grams of silver. You're actually getting 114.7. And again, that's on average. Basically, just kind of, they might actually have 113 grams or 116 grams. So just take this for what it's worth, because it's just my little one-off experiment. But, just kind of some food for thought for you. But, you look at that tube, and that is 50 mercury dimes in there. Okay, 50 1916 mercury dimes. Okay, so you can see there's some missing there. Now, it's not as bad as you'd think it would be, because you look at this and say, well, that's a big chunk of silver. Well, keep in mind that these are actually 90% silver, so it's not total silver loss. The other thing that I think people don't seem to account for is that the devices of the coin. Okay, so to say, oh, you know what? we actually forgot one here. Here, that in there, just like that. There we go. There's one guy hiding out. The devices of the coin are actually the high point of the coin. And what wears first? The devices. So those high points kind of make the whole roll a little higher. So as they wear down, you're definitely losing silver, but not probably as much as you would think you're losing. So let's see. Let's throw these other 13 on, and you can see how we get brought right up to the tippity top. And I do fill these to the tippity top because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy a whole bunch of these tubes. And you can see that is just about tippity top right there. Look at that beauty right there. That's a great example. Let's send that to PCGS, huh? Let's spend $30 to send it to PCGS. And, you know, no wiggle or anything in here because that thing is full. But I did think this would be interesting just for you to kind of see the difference to expect if you do see, like, say, a full tube of dimes, because here's my rationale. I used to count my dimes, but then I kind of lost count of stuff, so I'm like, you know what? Being the lazy guy who likes math, let me ballpark it. So I just kind of took a random roll. Now, again, you'd probably want to take like a few rolls and then average them out because some might have 64, some might have 62, you know, so this could vary a little bit, but just for a ballpark. And, you know, you'd figure, okay, so if this has 63 rolls on average, well, if you were to get multiple and come out with an average of 63, I should say, then you could kind of multiply that times the number of rolls and then generally get what kind you're, you know, get approximately how many you have. Now, a couple of things this kind of points to when buying them. If you are buying these, like let's say you go to a flea market, and the flea market is saying, I'm selling them all for $2.25 a piece. Well, if they're all common dates, you want to get the ones with the least amount of wear as possible, because if you get a whole bunch of, you know, really common dates that, and some have, you know, no wear on them or almost no wear, and some have a ton of wear, you're actually getting more silver for your money by buying the nicer ones. That's common sense. If you're paying a certain number of times face value, well, it's probably, and they're all common dates, well, it's usually better to get that. Now, here's where I fit in with this. I would agree with those first two statements, but with me, the store, I'm very lucky I have a really good local coin shop. Let me just say that right now. I know sometimes people, you know, don't have really good shops near them. I'm one of the lucky ones. He actually sells them by the gram. So when I go in there, I'll say to him, you know, how much you selling, you know, dimes for today? And for example, he might say, I'm selling for 80 cents a gram. And then as spot goes up, the price per gram goes up. As spot goes down, the price per gram goes down. And, you know, it's pretty elastic, and he moves it in what I consider a very fair price band. So basically, if it's 80 cents per gram, 80 times 2.5, that comes out to $2. You know, if you're buying a quarter, I think a quarter is 6.25 grams. So like that might cost you $5 if it's 80 cents a gram, and if it's a, I think I messed up my math there, but you get what I'm saying. So if I buy the old worn dimes, I'm actually paying less for the old worn dimes than I'm paying for the brand new spiffy new ones. Now, some people might not care. They're just going to say, I want the nicest ones I can get. All right. But here's the method to my madness. A lot of these 1916 dimes right here, I paid less for than I would pay for, let's say, a common 1940s. Okay? But if I go sell that common 1940s, someone might give me $2.25 for it. If I sell the worn out 1916, go on eBay, type in 1916 Mercury dime or 1916S Mercury dime. People pay more for those. Even if they're worn, people will pay like $4, $5 for good and worse 16 and 16S Mercury dimes. So whereas I might end up paying, let's say it's 80 cents a gram, I might have ended up paying $2 for, you know, a pretty decent 1944. If I go sell, I'm only going to get $2 for that 1944. Whereas I might only pay $1.85 or $1.86 for the worn out 1916S, but I might be able to sell that 1916S for like $4.75. I kid you not. Go look at it if you don't believe me. Type in Mercury Dimes 1916, Mercury Dime 1916. Go look at the sold auctions, and you are going to see plenty of beat up 16 and 16S Mercury Dimes that are selling well above junk. junk prices, oftentimes more than twice the amount. And I'm not talking like very good or fine. I am talking fair, almost good, and good, selling for more than twice scrap values. To a lesser extent, same thing with the 17s, 18s, 19s, even some of the 20s. The other thing is sometimes I'll get lucky and like I'll pull up like some like night on occasion. I haven't done this in a while, but I'll either actually, believe it or not, get like a couple of times I got 1921 Mercury dimes. I think that happened twice. And I got some 1926 S Mercury dimes. So that's pretty cool. So I was able to pull those out. And then other times I've just pulled out nicer 1920s Mercuries that were, you know, like maybe fine or very fine. Sometimes bordering on like, you know, XF, like nice. So again, even those, you can sell those for extra money or just keep them in your collection. And, you know, they're nice coins and they're worth multiples of what the regular price is. I got to be honest with you. If you showed me a container with a bunch of worn out Mercury dimes, and then you give me a container of a bunch of like really nice, like say, well, let's call them XF to AU Mercury dimes, you know, where you get little to no metal loss and they're in decent condition, I'm going for the old worn out ones. That's what I'm going for. I mean, the mintages are way less. Yeah, the condition's not as good, but again, I would rather have, you know, let's say a 1916 in good condition versus you know, where there was only, if it was the S, I think they made like 9.5 million S's and like maybe 19 to 20 million Philadelphias. But if you look at the PCGS survival rates, they've actually, it's a shockingly small survival. I think it was like 8,000 for each one, so not including full bands. And I think even if you include full bands, it's like 12 to 13 survival. So, you know, it's pretty much like a small amount left because a lot of these had dates that wore off. Dates wear off, what do? They smelt them. They get thrown to the refineries, and then they melt them because they don't know what they are. There's not too much metal there. A lot of people don't want them. I mean, I don't have any interest in dateless Mercury dimes, to be honest with you. Sometimes when I buy lots and I have dateless Mercury dimes, I just kind of like throw them in a tube. I have a tube, and I'll save like ones that are really like beaten up, battered, and crappy, and they're dateless and all this. And you know, sometimes I'll just sell them to people and say, look, I have these Mercury dimes. They're totally beaten up and beaten to hell, and they're ugly and stuff. But, you know, they're still silver, and I'll sell them for, like, you know, a little discount to melt, just to kind of get them out. And I wouldn't specifically buy them individually like that, but if you're getting a big lot of dimes, you're not going to go through, like, you know, 300, 400, 500 dimes and say, okay, let me go through all of these one by one to see which ones I like. No, you just take the container and say, look, I'll just buy them all if that's all right, and you just buy them all. You know, so just a little bit of advice, you know, not to look past some of these old worn dimes because they have additional value. Now, I know some of you aren't into the numismatic portion of it. I totally get that. But if you are into the numismatic portion of it, don't look past some of those other ones. And if you are not into the numismatic portion and you're saying, you look, dude, all I care about is the silver, that's okay too. But you really should kind of give some thought to what I'm saying, because then you could sell them and buy more silver. Okay? So if you come across a beat-up 1916S that you paid $2 for, and you could sell it to somebody for $425 or $450, dude, sell it. Sell it for the $450, then you got $450, you get 2 more dimes, and then you have a little more towards a third. So you just doubled your silver just by having this little piece of information. Okay? So again, whether you're into the numismatic portion, you're just into the bullion portion or what, I think there's some interesting things to continue to consider here. So that's all I got for today. If you like this video, check some of my other ones out in my playlist, because I have some other ones about like 90% silver and Mercury dimes, and you can hear all about my love of the Mercury dime. No, seriously, I really do love the Mercury dimes. Like, I should change my name to Mercury Dime. I should call myself Mercury Dime Enthusiast. That's a video for another day, though. I will talk to you later. If you stayed this long, thank you so much. Talk to you later.